The difference between this sound, the pentatonic scale, and the blues scale. But we'll talk about two interesting elements. We'll talk about the difference between the blues scale, but we'll also explore the major blues scale. And I'm gonna break it down into 7 levels, 7 layers. And I feel, for me, when I started practicing guitar, this was big confusion. I wasn't really clear about the difference between pentatonic and the blues scale and how do I use it and when do I use it. So let's dive in. 1. So in order for us to understand what is the blues scale, we first want to understand what is a pentatonic scale. So check it out. I'm gonna play the pentatonic in C, in the key of C. So C minor pentatonic. This is our center, this is C, and I want us to listen really carefully. So I'm playing 1 and then flat 3. And I want you to listen and tell yourself, give yourself the time to process these sounds and ask yourself, how do they sound and how do they make you feel? For me, I feel music is, kind of expressing ideas and emotions with sounds. So we want to tag this, even if it's not completely verbal, you want to connect this sound. The way I'm building the pentatonic scale is 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, and 1. And the difference between the pentatonic scale and the blues scale is 1 note. That's it. It's pretty simple. Again, pentatonic scale is coming from the word penta, which means 5. There are 5 notes in the scale, like you see. And with the blues scale, we're adding 1 color, 1 note that is a kind of big deal, and it sounds like this. This is again C. I want you to try and feel it. So C, E flat, F sharp. That's the note. We're adding the flat 5. This is wicked harsh. That sound, very clashy, a lot of friction, if you will, between this note C and that F sharp. Now, when we're playing blues and when we're listening to artists playing this style, and I think blues is, basically in almost every style of music, it's the idea, to me, of expressing something and bending. If you're listening to, again, artists like B.B. King, Jimi Hendrix, all the masters of blues guitar, you can hear that usage of the flat 5 all the time because it's very expressive. There's a lot of pain in that sound, and I think artists that are using this blues idiom really express urgency, and I think that's very appealing and very kind of, hits the heart. Question: how would you define your level with guitar? Please drop a comment. 2, when we're working on music, one of the easiest ways to kind of space out is just playing scales up and down. And don't get me wrong, I think fingerings and working on the framework is extremely important, and we'll talk about it later in the video. But what I want to talk about right now is us hearing and connecting to the sound. So we want to make sure that, we'll start with the pentatonic, but we really want to make sure this is clear. Do, si, do. We want to hear it. Do, mi, mi, do, si, sol, si, do. I'm just playing the pentatonic, right? Do, mi, mi, do, si, sol, si, do. Do, mi, fa, mi, do. Do, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, mi, do, si, sol, do. Just playing with these couple notes here. Sol, do, mi, mi, do, fa, sol, si, do, si, sol, fa, mi, mi, si, sol, do. So I'm kind of messing around, and I think, again, when we're learning something new, when we're learning anything, I guess, we want to make sure it's playful. So I would literally take the scale and just sing it. I do these kind of exercises with any scale, just kind of listen to a drone oftentimes. Either I'll play it or I'll pull an app or something. Sometimes I'll go to YouTube and do like cello drone in C or whatever key, If you like this kind of content and want to support, probably the best way to do so is by checking out the Patreon. There's a ton of PDF information there. There are 3 tiers with a lot of things, so it would mean a lot. Thank you. You know, you can listen to this and just sing things against it, and I think distinguishing between the pentatonic do, mi, fa, sol, si, do, si, sol, fa, mi, do, and the blues scale do, mi, fa, fa, diez, sol, fa, diez, fa, mi, do, si, do. You don't have to sing with the name of the notes, just as long as we're listening to the chords. Do, 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 do. And listen how it's so beautiful, so intense, but yeah, just really beautiful. And there's something to me that when I listen to true artists play this style, it's as deep can be, you know, just like the music really speaks to me. So I feel this is an important step that a lot of times, I don't know, I feel like guitar players just skip it, kind of like just move their fingers and not connect. And I think by connecting, we'll also able to move our fingers faster. So connecting the notes, tagging it emotionally, and making sure this is really clear is a big part of it. 3. So now we understand what is the meaning of the blues scale, we understand how it sounds, but now let's talk about the fingering. So I'm gonna grab this fingering here in this position, so check it out. This is the minor blues scale. Just adding that flat 5, the F sharp. Now when I'm playing these notes, I am thinking about the letters, or I'm thinking solfege. So I'm really trying to be aware of what I'm playing, and I'm also hearing this against the center. So I'm hearing this C in my mind. So when you're working on a scale, even if it's just a blues scale in one position, you want to slow things down to the point that you can process it. You know, I'm using alternate picking with my right hand. I'm trying to have the sound balanced. I'm trying to be aware of the notes that I'm playing and how they sound. So this is actually a lot of information, and I feel oftentimes when we as musicians work on something, we have a tendency to just try to, you know, try and fast forward in a way, which is not great, because I think the idea of music, at least to me, is like trying to be present in the moment. And when we're practicing and we're listening, we're actually learning, you know, so don't try to rush it, just try to kind of dive in if you can. Before we go forward, I just want to loop real quick and listen carefully to the difference between the blues and the pentatonic. Check it out. So this is just the pentatonic. Literally just the position, just the scale. Now the blues. So it's subtle, right? But that flat 5 really brings a vibe. It's super strong, and I'm not even trying to do anything, right? But you just hear it when you just hit this, that flat 5 really, there is something really strong about those, you know, flat 3, the flat 5 and the flat 7, and how they relate to the center. And the flat 5 really is beauty, just beautiful. 4, the blues major pentatonic. Alright, so what I mean by that is we're gonna take the major pentatonic. We'll stay in C. So this is the major pentatonic. Beautiful sound indeed. And then I'm basically bluesing it, right? So if you think about it, the major pentatonic, right? C major pentatonic is basically, again, you can think about it as A minor pentatonic. I don't want to think about it as A minor, but I'm just saying it's the same notes as the, you know, classic boxes that we know, so it's definitely okay to understand that the notes are being shared. In that sense, if we know a couple of the, frameworks of A blues, for example, this box that almost everybody knows, and we translate it into here, all we do is we're adding the flat 5 in relationship to A, which in relationship to C would sound like this. Right? So basically what happens here, it's really cool because we get the 1, 2, flat 3, 3. So it's still, you're playing the major pentatonic, but you're adding the flat 3 to the 3. So you have this like a little approach note. So for me, when I'm thinking about this scale, I'm just calling it major blues. To me, it's basically just like a little embellishment where we're getting that flat 3. Which is really beautiful. So listen to this. I can play the major pentatonic, but also the minor pentatonic, the blues scale. The major. It's like, this sound? So that's exactly the major pentatonic. Like just playing with that, or major blues. It's basically a major pentatonic, right? But just with that flat 3. And I think it's a really cool sound to mix, especially when you have a C major chord and sometimes you want to express how major it is, and sometimes you want to be like, oh, actually, and kind of bring that minor pentatonic. You might ask yourself, so when do I use what? So it's all sounds, it's all colors. So you have a C sound, any one of these colors, the major or the minor pentatonic, gonna be great. It just depends on the energy and mood that you wanna, connect us with. 5. So you're working on the scales, you understand the positions, but I think a huge part of the process is trying to play it in time. So what we're gonna do right now is literally play one position of the blues scale here in time. We'll also talk about more position in a second, but let's grab the metronome and make sure it's clear, because I do feel that, all the music, or a lot of the music that we listen to, is in time, so the rhythmic aspect of music and practice is super important to kind of establish in rhythm, in time. I'm gonna grab the metronome, I'll put it on 60 BPM on core notes, very simple, and I'm just gonna play the scale in core notes, 8 notes, and triplets. Just these 3, nothing more. Check it out. So first, I'm listening to the pulse before I even start playing, trying to feel it in my body, linking, syncing. Sometimes I'll even kind of hold a C, and then core notes, the blues scale, and I'm thinking about the notes. Do, mi, fa, fa, di, sol, si, do, mi, do, si, sol, fa, di, fa, mi, do, si, sol, fa, di, fa, mi. Now 8 notes. Trying to be balanced. Again, still listening. And you can stay there if you want a little longer. Now triplets. So the idea for me is when I'm practicing, I'm trying to just lock things in. So when I'm soloing and creating music, all these elements are kind of embedded in my being. 6. All right. So we have one position, but that's not enough. You know, it doesn't feel free when you're working and trying to solo and express yourself if you have only these, you know, this kind of zone to move around. And luckily we have a lot of guitar to move around, and one of the cool things with guitar is that you can have the different sounds of the different strings, and you know, you have quite a few octaves to explore. What we're gonna do right now is just go over the 5 positions. Again, there are many ways to tag this information. I'm gonna just divide it into a few areas, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's see how it sounds. I'm gonna start with this area, so I'm gonna start with G just because it's my lowest note. I'm also aware that I can do this F sharp, but right now I'm just starting here. Really, really slow, 1, 4, 1, 4. And you can slide to the C if you wanna end it with C, or just do this. So the position again is this one. With all these things, I am thinking about the names of the notes. You don't need to do everything at the same time, but when you're practicing it, do, sol, si, do, mi, fa, fa, yeah, sol, si, do, mi, fa, sol, si, sol, fa, mi, do, si, sol, fa, fa, mi, do, si, sol, do. Just like trying to be clear. Next one here. From this C, you can start with C with the B flat, but I probably would start with the C here. You can slide it here. There are a few optional fingerings for this one. Naturally, you can either slide it like this or play it like this. Both are great. Next one here is the classic one that a lot of us know. And still I'm trying to listen to the colors, and even if I know the position, I'm trying to tag the information. Next one here from the note F. And here I can do this like either slide here, like this fingering, or this fingering is also optional. Next one, we start from this F here, and you can either do this one here, where you play this one, or just slide, right? Both are great, it just depends on the sound. I think by knowing and being aware of the fact that this is G, you know that you can slide to it, but it's definitely nice to have the kinesthetic, the muscle memory kind of clear if you just want to play it in a different way. And then the last one here from G, actually that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, that's it. We did this one here already, right? So once I'm clear with each position, slowly and surely singing, working with that, I'll probably put the click on, work with 8 notes, triplets, 16, all these kind of subdivisions. I'll probably start slow. I'll make sure I'm really kind of like holding ground and everything is clear, and then I'll try to start mixing them. 7. This is probably the most important one of them all, which is basically taking all this framework, all these ideas, you know, these 5 position of blues pentatonic, or the 5 position of the, you know, kind of major blues pentatonic, what I was referring to before, and trying to create with it, you know, because it's not gonna like click until we try to mess around with it. So, you know, you can just loop a chord, maybe even just play the scale in the beginning, just maybe another position. distortion. Maybe the major pentatonic. But just trying to do something, you know, so it's very simple, you know, just simple ideas, literally playing the pentatonic, not doing almost anything, like one or two notes, but there is music there because there's a little groove, there is a little framework that I'm exploring, and I'm trying to create something. I think that the idea of creating something is super, super important. You can do it with a loop, you can find a loop online, whatever you want, as long as you're making music. All right, go make some music.